Aloha, Andre Perez. I'm from Koloa, Kauai.
Aloha, Pua Case. I'm from Pu'ukapu, Waimea. Mauna Kea is my mountain.
What does Kapu Aloha mean to you, and what is its strength?
When I first encountered Kapu Aloha was during ceremony on Kaho'olawe, and it's my understanding that it was instituted by um, Uncle Parley Kanaka, I believe, um, during the 1992 healing ceremony. And at that time, the purpose was to maintain the kapu, the sanctity of the ceremony through the conduct of the people who were participating. And my understanding of Kapu Aloha is that it's rooted in discipline around aloha values. But I also understand that Kapu Aloha is not passive. Kapu Aloha is discipline. And Kapu Aloha keeps us at our highest individual standards on how we carry ourselves, how we conduct ourselves, how we treat people, how we engage with people in ways that are rooted in dignity and humanity.
So if you look at the word ceremony and just start from there, how you conduct yourself in a ceremony. So in our early ceremonies in the 1990s, Kapu Aloha was a guideline for us. With a whole list of what you're going to do, what you're going to bring, there was the term, when you come, from the moment you get here, is Kapu Aloha. And before we even looked at the human realm, how we're going to treat one another, how we're going to conduct ourselves, we were looking at how we are going to immerse ourselves into the space that we were going to be conducting ceremony in and with. So Kapu Aloha was the way in which we were going to interconnect, honor, have reverence, have respect beyond the human, but to the elements, to everything you were calling, the unseen that you were asking to be here in the midst. When you pulled into the parking lot, you already sensed that there is a manner in which one conducts themselves when they are in the sacred. You become the sacred. You take on all of those attributes, characteristics. For chanters and dancers, because that's where I first learned it, already that was a given. And then when we extended the ceremonies open to more and more people, there needed to be more of an explanation. So at the beginning, when it was Kapu Aloha, there was no need to say anything. It was like Kapu Aloha, you said yes, and you already knew. Then when there needed to be an explanation for that so others would understand what that meant, that's where multiple definitions came out. Well, to me, Kapu Aloha means this. To me, Kapu Aloha means this. But it was rooted in chants. It was rooted in values. Kapu Aloha, that's not new terms for us. Old, ancient, guiding, teaching, terms, regulating terms for us. So when we use it today, we are still in a ceremony. Standing for mauna a kea, you are standing in the realm from the Vauakua to the Vaukanaka, because the mauna is everywhere. So when we say we are going to Kapu Aloha in a certain space, we are going to set a code of conduct as if we were in ceremony, because we are. So with that said, everyone who comes commits because they have to, because it's a guiding principle here. Kapu Aloha is the manner in which we stand, and if you don't understand that, I always say think about your most sacred place, be it a halepule, be it a temple, be it wherever you go, that you are in your most sacred. That is what we are asking, because everything we stand for right here on this ala is the most sacred. So Kapu Aloha is going to help us to become that. And yes, it is not passive. Kapu Aloha means we are fierce in the love of our land. We stand stronger because of it. We stand braver. We stand steeped in ancestral values, guidance, protection, safeguarding. So we are standing with all that we have for all that we hold dear in the best way that we can. And that is an interpretation that is necessary for Kapu Aloha right here, right now.
And I would say that Kapu Aloha, as Auntie Pua said, is interpretive and it's evolving based on need. And there's a time when Kapu Aloha can be a very contextualized in a very spiritual way through ceremony. But there's also a time, as we see here right now, where Kapu Aloha also has an element of our politics and how it guides our politics. And so for me, Kapu Aloha, I see really is dignified, disciplined ku'e, where we engage in civil resistance while demonstrating our aloha for the opposition, for each other. And just as Mahatma Gandhi had his philosophy of nonviolence called satyagraha, which is soul force or peace force, truth. And as Martin Luther King had his philosophy of nonviolent direct action and civil disobedience, to me it's very important that we contextualize our understanding of civil resistance, civil disobedience, nonviolent direct action on our terms in ways that are comprehensible, palatable for our people. So we have to create our own understanding and definition of these concepts of civil resistance, nonviolent direct action. And I believe that Kapu Aloha now is evolving into becoming not only our code of conduct and discipline for ceremony and spiritual practice, but it's also evolving into becoming our own philosophy of nonviolent direct action, of peaceful civil resistance, so that it's still grounded in our cultural values and our cultural understandings, and that we engage in ways that demonstrate to everyone, to each other, how to maintain that dignity and discipline that's rooted in aloha.
So why is it so important, Kapu Aloha, given everything that you've just said? Why is it so important in this struggle? And what are the stakes in maintaining Kapu Aloha?
Why is it so important? Because every day, 3 times a day, we recommit. We recommit to the purpose of why we are here. We are here, we all have the same understanding. We cannot let 18 stories of any kind on our mauna. But how we proceed to do that is essential, because this is not just for this moment. The next 7 generations are going to look back at this moment right here as the history by which they are going to proceed. And we have to live every day to set that example for every young one that is recommitting with us on this ala. When they are 2 years old, 3 years old, looking up at us and dancing in our lines, that is just the beginning. But what they are doing is looking at us in the eye. How we conduct ourselves is really going to be the teacher of how they conduct themselves. And what do we want to see them do in the future? Stand as we are standing and even be beyond that. But this is where their foundation, right on this ala, is being set for them. So we have the kuleana of making sure that the manner in which we stand is something that we want them to not just have as a foundation, but more than that, to transform them, because their struggle is going to be much more than one mauna if we're not careful. So the manner in which we stand on this ala, and then hopefully taking elements of it downside to wherever we're going from here, and for those not from here, to wherever they're going even from there, and shift into a conscious way of standing. The way I look at it is if my kupuna is standing with me, in front of me, I got to talk through them and get the okay from them. What I say and how I conduct myself has a vibration that is going to set a tone when I have a mic in my hand or when I am chanting. So I need to make sure that something is regulating me, something is guiding me, something is teaching me, so that when I'm saying something, when it reaches you or the person beyond you, it is something said in pono. And that I am sending a vibration to this vow up here. The mauna is listening. The mauna is looking. Do I need correction today? Am I saying the right thing today? All of those things. Kapu Aloha is a gift to us that enables us to remind ourselves that how we conduct ourselves is just the beginning of how our keiki going to conduct themselves. This is long reaching. We're lucky that we had ceremony enough since the 1990s that brought that term to us, that term is in full bloom right now and is guiding us. So when we close our eyes at night and we have said, remember, sacred mountain, sacred conduct, Kapu Aloha, we are assured that we are going to be able to do that much more than had we not had that term. We'd be sleeping with two eyes open. But now we sleep, and sometimes only one eye open a little bit. That's Kapu Aloha. Kapu Aloha is the magic. It's the magnet. It is the magnificence coming from the mauna right to this ala and saying, this is a reminder of how we conduct ourselves, sacred mountain, sacred conduct, but it don't stop right here. It spreads automatically. The world is watching, and you know what they're embracing? Kapu Aloha. Because they are seeing that one, it's working, but two, there's something to it that is filled with ancient wisdom, with spirit, with a nation that is coming together unified in a way that we wouldn't perhaps been able to do so if we didn't have this in place. So mahalo na kua that term has made it to here and has become essential for us. And the most beautiful thing probably about all of this.
And I think that, as Auntie Pua said, Kapu Aloha is a guiding, transformational, liberating force that helps us be better people, better kanaka, better human beings. You know, and it keeps our consciousness in the right place for this time and space to give and be the best that we can. And there's a little story that I remember about Kapu Aloha that's really powerful for me. And it's not my story, it's Kalekoa's story. But at the 1992 healing ceremony on Kaho'olawe, the politicians came. I believe there was 400 people. And they sat on the mua ha'i kupuna, the stone structure where there's iwi inside. And they had ava. And Kalekoa was telling me that he was grumbling. He was young at that time. He was grumbling, why are those politicians here? They don't deserve to be here. Why are they here? And Uncle Parley Kanaka Ole told him, no worry about why they here. Only worry about why you are here. And to me, that is part of Kapu Aloha. Is don't worry about what everybody else doing. What is your kuleana? What are you doing? How are you thinking? How are you carrying yourself? Because that's what demonstrates to people how to be in Kapu Aloha. And Kapu Aloha is something, as Auntie Pua said, that will affect generations of our lahui, of our keiki, our mo'opuna. We are setting the example right now for how our future generations not only carry themselves in ceremony, but how they can stand up for themselves and fight for our rights to exist as a people. Kapu Aloha is is a mechanism, is a consciousness, is a philosophy that is going to carry our lahui forward with dignity and discipline so that we can continue to survive and exist as a people.
So I'm going to say what you find here on this ala hulu kupuna that stretches from a parking lot to an access road in the middle of a lava field. Personally speaking, I never hear so many people say I love you to each other than I have right here. So many people, you pass by every single person, everybody's aloha. Where you gonna find that? So many times during the day, somebody gonna tell you mahalo. More than that, everybody like hug you, you know? We all hugging each other. The relationships that we are making on this ala because there is an understanding of the way you treat the elements, the landscape, your ancestors, and each other is enabling us to naturally come together in a way and establish alliances and relationships in a way that is open heart between us as Kanaka Maoli, Koko Hawaii, Ho'aina, and between everybody else that comes here. And when they stand and are ready to give a ho'okupu, especially if they're coming from elsewhere, could just be another island, but they're here now, or beyond. When they walk up here and they're crying, because they're letting us know that Kapu Aloha, which means everything, has changed them. And they only seen us through social media, perhaps. And they're walking up here and they're weeping already. And they don't know how they found themselves here and how they made it happen, but they knew they had to. Why? Because it reached through and it grabbed them and said, you gotta come here. And how many of them have said they're gonna take this back to their frontline actions because it's the one thing that they're seeing, that they know they, in some way, they have in their own tribal nations, in their own communities, in their own ancestral life ways, they have that. But maybe they did the pule, and maybe they did even the chanting and the dancing, but maybe they never really put that in equally. And they're seeing where they're going to do that next. And at the same time, those same people are deepening our own understanding of it, and we are being validated. But more than that, we're seeing how we are, through our actions, our words, impacting others in a way that we haven't done before. We always say mauna awake is the leader, mauna awake is the unifier, and Kapu Aloha is the guide. You see, and all of it together enables us to go from 30 to 3,000 and still be able to keep this bowl tight. Cohesive, strong.
That's our power. Our cohesion is our power.
What do we do when Kapu Aloha becomes a personal challenge? When we're in that moment witnessing or experiencing something very wrong, unjust, or painful, what do we do, or where do we go within ourselves to remain focused and remain in Kapu Aloha?
Okay, in order to do that in the perfect world, you got to be training. You cannot, you almost, unless you have it in you already and you bring in your training from somewhere else, it is a challenge. To come up here and hear that term, whether you Kanaka Hawaii or not, but to hear that term and never have experienced that in your lifetime, this is why we dance 3 times a day. And you got to come out here. This is why we walk it to the best of our ability. This is why we talk about it and engage in it, so that you don't get entangled in your first time, safe on a frontline action, not prepared. So what we are providing for you here is preparation. You come up and you become somehow involved in it just by being in the presence of these elements. That's your first teacher. Just by being in the face of all of us who are going to aloha you when you walk in no matter what. Just by being at the aha every day witnessing, it's going to touch you. But when you start to participate and you are on this ala in self-discipline, and when you are chanting and when you are dancing, you are starting to already, because it's in your DNA and it's in your person, it's everywhere. Now, if that's still a situation for you, because of course it's high emotion over here, something goes down, Kapu Aloha means somebody going to take care of you. But you're also going to be more conscious about how you impact everybody else. So hopefully, if that was a situation for you, you already had figured that out. But if you never, we're going to be there for you. Because that's what we're here for. We're not saying you come up here and magically you're all about it, but it's in you already. It's not that hard to find it. And being over here, it's going to naturally speak to you and become you, because why wouldn't you want it to be? Because when you are in it, on the ala, for example, you probably the best you are when you dance in Aikamumukeke. You probably just said, wow, this is what it feels like to be in a group, a collective, in the cohesion of and symmetry of movement as one. And you're going to start to say, this is what it can be. This is what it looks like. And we're going to help you when you need help. Now, if you just cannot and you're not ready, I hope you're going to realize that. And you're going to help us from someplace else. And that's Kapu Aloha too. That's Kapu Aloha too.
I think one of the things when people are challenged and struggling with their own Kapu Aloha, as Auntie Pua said, if we understand that one of the core concepts or root of Kapu Aloha is discipline, that you recognize it for yourself and you remove yourself. But also, we had an experience recently when DHHL came and tore down that hale, and people were very emotional and upset and angry. And I saw that when we are challenged with Kapu Aloha, with maintaining our Kapu Aloha, what I saw was important was Upule. Because Auntie Pua, in the heat of the moment, she started to pray to our ancestors, to our aumakua with na aumakua. And Auntie Pua did it 100 times. And it was in that prayer that we were able to re-find Kapu Aloha and bring it back into focus to maintain that discipline and, as I always say, that dignity. So when we challenge with Kapu Aloha, find your own discipline, remove yourself, and pule.